So we're going to look at Pythagorean Theorem today for lesson 07. Hopefully it's a easy kind of review day for you entering into the long weekend. So Pythagorean Theorem, by definition, is a mathematical statement that allows us to find the missing side of a right triangle. And that's the key idea, is that it has to be a right triangle. So Pythagorean theorem states that in a right triangle, the square of the length of the hypotenuse, letter C, hypotenuse is always directly across from the 90-degree angle. So that side over there is always your hypotenuse. The triangle can be turned and the hypotenuse can be in a different location, but the location is always determined by the opposite of the 90-degree angle. The legs are represented by A and B. Those are the two opposing sides to the hypotenuse. And we have Pythagorean theorem stating A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So in the example here, we are looking for the length of the hypotenuse, or the missing side to the right triangle. So we're going to set it up in our formula. So we're going to identify our A, our B, and our C. So we'll say A is 8, B is 15, and C is in question. So you have 8 squared plus 15 squared equals C squared. Probably by the end of this year, you will have all your squares memorized. So 8 squared, 64, 15 is 225, equal to C squared. When you add them together, you get 289. 289 is also a perfect square. So in order to solve for C, because I don't want C squared, we square root those sides. When you use the Pythagorean theorem and you square root those sides, you do not include a plus or a minus because length can't be negative. So the square root of 289 is 16. And then you have, oh yeah, sorry. Thanks, Spencer. I was so concerned about telling you that when you take your square root and you're using Pythagorean theorem on a triangle, you need to make sure you have your units. So length in this case is inches. So the length of the hypotenuse on a right triangle is 17 inches. So similarly, we're going to do the same thing with this example here. If you don't want to write down what A, B, and C are, because you can do that kind of more mentally, that's fine. So if it helps you, you can put A is 14, B is 25, and C is what we're looking for. And then you have 14 squared plus 25 squared equals C squared. 14 squared is 196. 25 squared is 625 equal to C squared. So when you add them together, you get 821. And that is not a perfect square. So on your calculator, you would use your square root function, and you should get 28.653. So I know a lot of you in here will probably end up in calculus. I'm using 3 decimals for this school year because if you take calc or stats, that's the minimum number of decimals they want on their exam. So it is something to get into good habits and practice for. So again, length is in meters. So since you squared that square root, you get 28.653 meters. Example 2, yes. There, Miss Gordon's bringing me some. Those ones are all dead because they've been in a box. I'm sorry. I have like one of the not so nice ones if you want one. If you want to keep that through the weekend, you can bring it back to me on Monday, Tuesday. Oh, I mean Thursday. I won't see you till that day. That's fine. All right, so find the length of each missing leg. So this one's a little different now. Now we're finding the length of the leg. So A is equal to 12. B is equal to A, just because of the way I wrote them. And C is equal to 20. You said B was 12 and A was what was missing. That's fine too. So you have 12 squared plus A squared equals 20 squared. When you're looking for the length of a missing leg, you now have to subtract the other leg away. So we get A squared equals 20 squared minus 12 squared. So that's 400 minus 144, or 256. See, here's my 16. So we have A squared equals 256. Square root both sides, and you get 16 meters. Let's look at another one. So this time you have B missing down below. So I have 13 squared plus B squared equals 35 squared. So you get B squared equals 35 squared minus 13 squared, which is 1,056. And square root those sides, and you get 32.496 feet. And a nice drum beat in the background. The converse of the Pythagorean theorem is very helpful. It says that if the sides of a triangle have lengths A, B, and C, then the triangle is a right triangle if the Pythagorean theorem formula is true. So now this works if you are given 3 lengths and you want to know if it's a right triangle. It will only be a right triangle if the left side of the equation equals the right side of the equation. So we are given side lengths 7, 12, and 18. Remember, the hypotenuse is always the longest side because it's across from the 90-degree angle. And a 90-degree angle is the largest angle you can have in a triangle. And the triangle angle determines length of side. So the smallest angle will be of the smallest side. Largest angle is the largest side. So that means that 7 and 12 are my legs. And 18 is my hypotenuse. So we need to determine if 7 squared plus 12 squared, which is 193, equals 18 squared, which we know is 289. No, it's not, sorry. That's 17 squared. So 18 squared is 324. Does 18 squared equal 7 squared plus 12 squared? And no. Therefore, they're not equal. Therefore, this is not a right triangle. So once again, you have three lengths. The largest length is always your hypotenuse. So you'll add the other two lengths together. So we get 676 equals 676. So we say, okay, that's a right triangle. All right, so that is all we have for today. Your homework you can work on in the book for this weekend. So you are on page P. I just had it out and wrote it down.